Hello and welcome to the Creative Kobold. I'm Gyra and I got this small pack from Twilight Creations that I'm going to check out. These are super cheap minis and I figured I might as well have a look at them to see if they are useful for D&D. Like these cost everything from I think the cheapest were 20 cents up to maybe 70 cents or something like that. Anyway, as you can probably already see, these miniatures come in all all shapes and sizes. The scale is all around the place. Definitely a lot here we can't really use, but definitely also some we can. So first off, Twilight Creations is a company that makes board games, but they are also selling individual miniatures on their site. These miniatures are made for their board games and not for D&D, so depending on whatever their board games might need, they will be different scales. But we are going to check these out. These are just a selection of what they have. All of these minis cost me $6.50 in total, plus shipping. So I figured it was worth checking out. First of all, this is a zombie woman. She's got a ripped dress and she's got a plate with a head on it. So that's kind of cool, but sadly way too small of a miniature. If you're using smaller than 28mm scale, then you might be able to use this, but most of us don't, so I'm just going to disregard that. This is a zombie sailor, which I thought could be very cool, but again is a bit on the smaller side. Maybe if you're using 25mm this might work, but yeah, he's definitely a bit on the smaller side. Fun thing, you can actually see through him. He's got a big hole in his stomach there and you can see the spine through it, which is very cool. I really wanted this one to be one I could use, but it does not look like it. And we have this good old skeleton. This guy has a shield and a spear with some broken ancient armor on him, and actually looks like a decent skeleton mini. I think he's slightly on the smaller side, but could definitely work with D&D. It's not too small, like compared to this guy. You can see there's an obvious difference in scale. So yeah, this might actually be a good way to get a few skeletons for your games. Next up we have this Reaper sort of figure, the Grim Reaper, and this part here is like super bendy, so that's not great, but you know, this guy looks pretty cool, like classic Grim Reaper. Scale, not too bad. It's a bit smaller than even the skeleton, which would again be slightly too small, but only barely. So for 28mm scale, I would say this could work as a sort of dwarven Grim Reaper, maybe. So there's a thought. Okay, moving on. Here is a goblin. And, you know, he's got large ears. Could definitely work as a goblin for both D&D or Pathfinder. But I think there are some similar creatures with those large ears as well. I don't remember their name, but definitely workable. And the size is pretty good as well. So here is a shaman or voodoo priestess type of character. She is pretty cool, but again, you got the slightly too small scale. Definitely larger scale than the zombie we started out with, but it's more akin to the zombie sailor. Slightly too small, which is a shame because it's a very cool miniature. Okay, next up we have a weird one. A zombie clown. So he's kind of pudgy, his legs are bent. But he actually looks like he is in scale with the D&D miniatures. Of course he will be a bit shorter, but that's because his legs are bent. So that's fine. He's got a balloon in one hand and a ripped off arm in the other. That's pretty cool. Large open gut wound. Very nice. Here we have a cat. Just annoyed, angry cat. And you know, this one works quite well. It is fairly in size scale-wise. And maybe slightly larger, but basically the same size as other cat miniatures for D&D. So that's pretty awesome. And one of the reasons I wanted to check these out was because of all the zombie animals. Now here is a zombie monkey. And I think this one is in good scale. This is definitely usable. And there is the zombie gorilla, which on the other hand is way too small. This feels like it's half the height it should be for 28mm, so that kind of sucks. Won't be able to use them. We got a zombie lion, and again this one is too small. This one would not, yeah, this one is just too small. We got, I believe this is the zombie hyena, and I think that's a good size, so we can definitely use this one. So that's awesome. Got a zombie bear, and it is a tiny bear. Could be a zombie bear cub, I guess, but yeah, it's smaller than my smallest bear mini, which is the celestial bear from the Aberrations set of pre-painted minis from back in the day. And the zombie tiger, which I think might be a decent size, not too small compared to the lion. You can see the lion is much smaller. So I think this one is workable. It might be slightly too small, but not so much that it poses any problems in my opinion. Then we got a zombie dog. This is a good size for a dog, so dogs already come in all shapes and sizes, and this is like in the middle ground of dog miniatures I have. I have both smaller and larger dog miniatures. And this one is listed as a zombie wolf. Obviously it's a zombie werewolf, so that's kind of interesting in and of itself. Not only do you have the lycanthropy curse, but you also have become a zombie. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, this one's cool. This one is actually a good size. This is like perfectly sized, and I think that's a 25mm base. It certainly looks like it. So this is perfect. Here we got, I think this is Dante from one of their board games, and you know, looks good. Slightly on the shorter scale, but not too bad. I think at worst he'll look like just a man of short stature. But definitely could be used as some sort of monk or barbarian. I think I'm just gonna paint this guy up and use him. I don't have many monk minis. Here is a Red Riding Hood miniature. She's kind of cool. She looks to be just the right size, scale-wise. And you can also see she has the head of a wolf in her basket, and she's got a gun. Now, obviously, I would get rid of the gun, and it does not look like that will be very hard to do. So this is a pretty cool mini, and I'm very happy to have that. Now here is another zombie woman. This one is carrying the head of some poor dude. I was really hoping this mini would be the right size, right scale, but alas, she is too small. She is roughly the same height as the first one we got, but she's got a little more plastic on her, a little more fill, not so thin. But still, it is too small. And finally, we have this cultist. I believe it's the Cthulhu cultist. And it's another almost there, just a bit too small. Like, even if you compare it to this guy, it's just like 1mm shorter, but also got the thinner body, thinner head, stuff like that, which make him seem even smaller. Otherwise, this would be a great cultist mini. But cultist minis I have so many of, and I have so many cultist minis, and you know, this is not the worst loss in the world. This could have been a great cultist mini, but alas, too small. That's the way it is. So, out of all these miniatures, how many can I use? I would say we're just dividing these up. Keep in mind, I'm not as worried about scale as some other people. I think there's room for some wiggle room, but there is definitely a limitation. So there we go. That's roughly half the miniatures. Slightly more than half, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 miniatures there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 miniatures here. Granted, they have more miniatures, some of which may be the correct scale, some of which may not be. They are cheap enough that it is not a big loss if you try them out and just see. Again, these are in the cents category of pricing. But there are definitely some cool ones here. Some of the zombie animals, the zombie werewolf, the Red Riding Hood, the skeleton. Yeah, these some of these are great. Quality, of course, is, you know, it's not the greatest. It is okay. I have seen worse. It is definitely functional. Some of it is decent, some of it is downright bad. I think it's for some of these minis which you can't really get anywhere else. These are definitely worth picking up, like zombie tiger, zombie monkey, zombie hyena, zombie killer clown, you know, zombie werewolf. Alright, maybe it's just their zombies. That's worth getting. No, seriously, some of these unique miniatures they have are worth getting. Some of them are not, just because the scale is too far off. But all in all, it's all pretty good. I don't feel like I wasted my money. I got some cool minis and it was total $6.50 before shipping. Of course, shipping is expensive these days, especially internationally, but if you're in the US, the shipping cost will be much cheaper than what I had to pay here in Norway, so there's also that. So that's Twilight Creations. Be sure to check them out if you feel like getting some of these unique minis. They have a lot of other cool miniatures, but again, I only know the scale of some of these, only the ones that I have gotten here. But it's so cheap that you can definitely just buy one of each and see for yourself whether the scale is right or not. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next video.